We believe you are hiding in plain sight.
This is the man police believe murdered Abby Williams and Libby German in February 2017.
We know that this is about power to you.
He can't hide much longer. Somebody knows besides him, and they're going to talk.
2 children. Only a coward would do such a thing.
So it is an amazing development here. In less than 24 hours, more than 1,000 tips have poured in to help find a double murder suspect in Delphi, Indiana. And let me just compare this for you. Before the press conference, police were getting about 12 tips a day. Huge leap here. The community remains on edge when they learned that killer might be still hiding among them. Yesterday, police released a new sketch, new audio, and this video of the man suspected of killing Abby Williams and Libby German 2 years ago. I want to go out to Susan Hendricks. She has been there in Delphi, Indiana, along with criminologist Casey Jordan and Joseph Scott Morgan. He is a distinguished professor of applied forensics at Jacksonville State University. Susan, let's start with you. You yourself were trembling after this news conference. What did residents say?
Yeah, they were concerned as well, but I did speak to local residents. Again, Lynn, this town under 3,000 people, and what you said, hiding in plain sight. This is the local newspaper this morning with the new sketch on it. And they say, for lack of a better word, they told me, excited about this new development, meaning that at least it's going in some direction. Because again, it's been 2 years. The award amount is up to $200,000, even more depending on the tip. So it makes you wonder, do you know the person that is here? And I spoke to some locals who say they wonder if this now new sketch, this person has been inside of their store. Maybe they've run into them down the street, because let me tell you, being here, it is a very small town. You feel like everyone is invested in this and everyone wants the killer to be brought to justice. And because of this new turn, I think the parents and the family members of Abby and Libby were shocked the most. I spoke to them after, off camera, off the record, and they said that to say they were shocked is an understatement, they told me, Lynn.
Maybe weird to say, but it's excitement for us to know that there's maybe new stuff, new person that we're looking for here. Not a new person, but a new look. Almost makes you think maybe you've seen him around here and he's just kind of hiding, and because we're looking for somebody totally different in the last 2 years, now we're looking for somebody new.
So they're thinking, okay, I was looking out for the guy in the other sketch, and now it's this guy who looks a whole lot younger. The age range is 18 to 40, meaning he could be older than what he looks like, kind of going towards a baby face looking, and saying this is completely different from what we thought. But the superintendent, Doug Carter, said, look, bear with me here. He said this at the presser. He said, we are just beginning here, and we know that you live in Delphi and you still live here, or you come back often. That's why they expected, Lynn, him to be in that room.
Yeah, and Casey, it seemed that police were speaking directly to the killer. Talk to me a little bit about the profile of someone like this. Police saying, you didn't think we were going to change course. We have. I mean, they were very particular about how they worded every single line.
Yes, it was very clear to me that the officer was reading a prepared statement that I'm quite sure was prepared by the FBI's Behavioral Science Unit. It was a textbook provocation message to the killer. It's all about power. I was actually not so impressed with it, because the words said, we're going to get you, and yet the officer reading it was extremely emotional and kind of belied his emotion. And I worry that it's meant to provoke him into coming forward or a confession, but I think it's more likely a tactic to get the people out there, the public, looking at that sketch, which I think is just a younger version of the older sketch, get them to call in with those tips. That is a worthwhile tactic, but I do worry that if the killer is out there watching, he may be provoked into proving to them how much power he has.
Well, and let's point out, Joseph, the sketch that we got yesterday doesn't have the suspect wearing a hat. The only video we've seen has the suspect wearing a hat. How does police know the guy even has hair? How do they know he's not balding? They seem to have information that we don't. Clearly, yeah, I think we know that.
Yeah, yeah, Lynn, I'd agree. I think that it's very specific information that they have. I think that in the end, we're going to find out that this perpetrator probably had intimate knowledge of this little area in Delphi. Keep in mind, These two little girls were out on those tracks, on those trails that day, specifically because they were out of school. I think that given the fact that it is such a small community, whoever the perpetrator is has an awareness that the kids were going to be out of school that day. I think that there is going to be connectivity here, and I think that we'll all be surprised in the end.
Yeah, it seems like police seem to have so much more in their plate than they're leading on to, which is important for their investigation. We have so much more to dig into. Susan Hendricks is going to join us again in the next hour. For now, Casey Jordan, Joseph Scott Morgan, thank you. Susan, see you soon. We're back after this.